Big Brother is a damn roller coaster on your path to victory. You could make 1,000 right decisions, but then one wrong decision could cost you the game. It's high variance, high stakes, and there's a lot of luck that has to go your way in order to seal the victory. It's like a game of Mario Party. You can be in the lead the entire game, make every right decision, win every minigame, but one mistake, sometimes not even in your control, can cost you everything. Oftentimes, we look at Big Brother winners as top-tier players, but today, I thought we should take a step back and humble every winner. Look at them dead in the eyes and say, you know what, you're not that great. I can think of one simple thing that could have happened that would have made you a loser. Okay, just kidding, we're not hostile. Winners will be the first to tell you that there's just a lot of luck and a lot of stuff had to go their way in order for them to win. And this is just a fun way to look at how literally every season of Big Brother could have had the end result changed. None of this is to be taken as, wow, this winner's so bad, look at how lucky they got. This is just a fun exercise to get through the week. So, with that, let's get started.
More of your stock phrases.
Everything's already set.
Her whole existence is trash. You're a really ugly person on the
you're going
inside.
home. I promise. I promise you are going home.
Dr. Will loses in Big Brother 2 if Nicole won the final 4 HOH, or if Monica won the final 3 HOH. The first instance results in both Hardy and Nicole making it to the final 3, where they would beat Will in the final HOH and a victim. In the second instance, Monica takes Will to the end, but then beats him handily.
You know, Julie, this is my second time being nominated. At first, I was afraid. I was petrified. I kept thinking I could never live without you by my side.
That's another show. That's another show, Will. But also on this now.
For Big Brother 3, Lisa realistically doesn't have that much to make her lose. Had Eric been voted back into the house, then maybe she isn't positioned as nicely to make it to the end. Also, had she not made it so apparent to Danielle that she would bring her to the final 2 around the final 4 stage, then maybe Danielle does take the risk of evicting Lisa and going to the final 3 with Amy and Jason, resulting in Lisa's loss, but not that much going on there.
Why don't you girls test Jason and do a lingerie show for him? I would love to give Jason a lingerie show if I knew he would watch, but that poor boy would probably run and lock himself in the bathroom.
For Big Brother 4 in June, again, I don't want this to sound like a cop-out, but there's really not that much. The fact that she was the second most hated house guest and really never had a chance at going home is incredible. I hate to take the loser answer, but if Robert won the final HOH, then June would have lost the game.
I wouldn't trust Allison with anything. I would not trust Allison with my newborn son.
So, for Big Brother 5 with Drew, the night before the final head of household comp, if Diane did not get drunk and talk with Drew about some of the jurors, which caused Drew to worry that Diane had the jury votes to win the game, then Drew may not have actually evicted Diane at the final 3 and brought her to the final 2, where Diane likely beats him, making Drew the loser.
Diane, you and I had a talk last night, and you told me about some things that if you and I were here in the final 2 that scared me. So, in terms of numbers with people on your side in the jury, at this time, I choose to evict you, Diane.
For Big Brother 6 with Maggie, this is a simple one. Had Yvette just thrown that final HOH to Janelle or lost it on her own, then Janelle evicts Maggie for sure at the final 3, and Maggie loses just like that.
We find it very, very odd how much Janelle stares at people, but it was an advantage for Janelle to stare at people in this game.
Big Brother All-Stars, at the final 4, had Erica not done a great job of convincing Janelle to evict Will, then Boogie is literally unable to win. Because with the final 3 of Boogie, Will, and Janelle, Will is guaranteed to make it to the final 2, and Will guaranteed wins at that point, meaning Boogie loses.
Let's box. Let's do this.
Smart move, Janelle.
I'm sorry.
No, nobody here could beat him.
I know.
That was a smart move. I give you credit. Took a lot of guts.
But does he really lose? Because, you know, Chilltown's splitting the money. He loses the title. And now with Big Brother 8 with Evil Dick, where do I even begin? If he doesn't hit the perfect shot at like the final 10, I don't remember, then he loses. If America's Player doesn't exist, then he loses. If even the potential cheating scandal during part 3 of the final HOH doesn't happen, then he loses. There's just a lot. Definitely Eric being America's player is the biggest one though, because if Eric was just playing his own game, there is no way in hell that Dick makes it to the end and is victorious. It's simply not a possibility.
You have won the power of veto.
I'm right. Couldn't there have been any more drama?
For Big Brother 9, Adam could have lost if Ryan wasn't such a fool and paved such a nice path for Adam to win. Ryan instead could have used his brain and all of those endgame competitions that he won to send Adam home at literally any point at the end. So Adam could have lost if Ryan decided that he wanted to. Also, if the pair twist didn't end when it did, then Ryan would have been evicted early in the mid-game, and Adam would not have been able to rely on Ryan winning everything in the endgame and bringing him to the victory. So, Adam could have also lost that way.
If we got to win regardless, we might as well, you know.
No, then you have to put up your...
Go balls out.
Do you need to read the Holy Bible?
Then you have to
what does it say about the evildoers?
So, with Big Brother 10, I think if Memphis doesn't win that final 5 veto and someone like Rennie or Jerry won it, then Dan almost assuredly would be going home in 5th place and losing the game. Well, okay, I say almost assuredly, but I'm not actually 100% sure. But it's definitely the closest he could have come to losing in Big Brother 10.
If Memphis takes me off, Jerry has no choice but to put Rennie up. Jerry has literally no control from this point forward this week.
For Big Brother 11, if the most overpowered twist of all time wasn't introduced as a fan vote, the coup d'etat, then Jeff and Jordan enter the jury phase severely outnumbered because Jesse would still be in the game, Shima would no longer get expelled, and they wouldn't have Russell on their side in the house anymore. I would have to assume that at this point, Jeff and Jordan are simply going to get overpowered and Jordan doesn't win the season.
Why are you looking at me like that?
I'm not looking at you.
Ronnie's like looking at me smiling. You know, the only reason why you are still here is because you are Jesse's bitch.
For Big Brother 12, Hayden loses if Enzo slips during the last round of OTEV at the final 5. Maybe. This means that Reagan wins the veto. If Lane, the HOH for the week, was being serious about wanting to take Brittany to the end over the Brigade, then Lane would have to nominate Hayden in Reagan's place in a position where Hayden likely gets evicted due to Brittany and Reagan realizing how much of an endgame threat Hayden is. Or it's possible that Hayden stays anyways. Hayden was in a pretty solid spot, but this is maybe a way that he could have lost.
Dude, Reagan hurls his CD and both the Clam and Enzo take it right in the face. What a sore loser.
For Big Brother 13, if Julie does not announce the battle back to the players during the pre-jury, Rachel likely gets evicted instead of Lawan volunteering himself. And in this situation, Brendan throws the battle back to Rachel, which basically means that Lawan is in the house now instead of Brendan after the battle back, which is definitely not good for Rachel's game. And with no Brendan and Danielle still winning the next HOH, it is totally possible that Rachel goes home in place of Brendan that week. If not, though, later on in the season, had Jeff's clown shoe not flown out during the double eviction veto and Jeff had won that comp, then Rachel goes home in 7th place and loses that way.
What did you do to her? Nothing. What did you do, Rachel? I didn't do anything. Don't make me get on you. I have a halo over my head right now.
For Big Brother 14, Ian could lose if Frank does not open Pandora's box. I've said this a million times, but if Frank doesn't open Pandora's box, Ian doesn't win the extra veto. And then as long as the regular veto count plays out as it did originally, then Dan's funeral happens and Frank can freely nominate Ian instead of Brittany because Ian is no longer safe and Ian likely gets evicted near unanimously next to Danielle.
The most important thing I did that got me through the end of the game was think about Brendan. Aren't you excited?
Yes. It's like I'm on a bad date.
My advice to you would be go to the Big Brother hammock right now and just think about Brendan and my future.
Going to vomit.
For Big Brother 15, we have Andy, and oh boy, this is extremely tough. Andy was never in danger of going home or making it to the final 2 and losing. Maybe if he got medically DQ'd. That's legitimately probably the most realistic way that Andy loses. I wish I had a better answer. Okay, you want a better answer? Maybe if Helen won out from the final 11 onwards, Helen might win against Andy. Maybe.
I feel cool with Andy winning this HOH. You know, we've got a good relationship, so I should be safe.
I'm really happy that Andy won HOH. We're really good friends. Andy and I jive very well together.
I feel more than comfortable that Andy won HOH.
This could be the best possible scenario.
Derrick possibly loses in Big Brother 16 if they don't hit the reset button. Frankie no longer gets evicted in 5th place, where he then makes it to the Final 4 with an extremely good chance of winning the Final 4 veto and then going on to win the final HOH. With this, there's 2 options. And one, if Frankie brings Derrick to the end, I don't think that Derrick beats Frankie. And then the second option is that Frankie doesn't even bring him to the end, in which case Derrick still loses that way. I think Frankie wins if that reset button doesn't happen.
We push this button and a clock appears. And from where I'm from, a clock is never a good thing.
I don't. There's gonna be a big positive out of it.
Yes, I agree. I 100% agree.
Frankie, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
For Big Brother 17, I've said this about 1,000 times, but if Steve answered the Final 4 HOH tiebreaker question the way he intended to, writing 6,010 as opposed to 601, then he would have lost the Final 4 HOH and been evicted in 4th place by Vanessa, guaranteeing his loss.
Thank you. I forgot a 0. My answer was 600.
Oh, good.
I forgot a 0.
Wow.
For Big Brother 18, here's the thing. Nicole was never in danger of getting voted out at almost any point of the game. So other than Paul just evicting her at the final 3, the only other thing that would maybe cause Nicole to lose is Corey winning the final 4 veto and then hoping that Corey can possibly beat Paul in the final HOH. Then in a Corey-Nicole final 2, Corey maybe beats Nicole, but it's extremely close.
Be safe from everything. Thanks to a super safety costume.
Now, for Big Brother 19, Josh is simply unbeatable, and there's no other way about it. If Paul truly owned up to their game during the final jury questions, particularly to Jason, then there is a chance that Jason votes for Paul to win, causing Josh to lose, but I personally find this unlikely. Otherwise, I'm really not kidding when I say this. Josh was never in a position where he was gonna go home. His path to the win was all but guaranteed once Paul was unleashed upon the house.
No! That's a scratch! You just double hit the ball.
Redo it. Redo it.
How do you redo that?
Redo it.
You just scratched on the 8 ball.
For Big Brother 20 and Kaycee, she's another one where she really just paved her own path to the end. So I guess you could say if Angela won the Final 4 veto, then Kaycee would have lost, but that wasn't particularly likely. Kaycee being a veto beast really makes it hard for her to lose at any point. Except, of course, if Rockstar didn't tell Tyler the correct answer during OTEV. I've gone over this before, and it's a really long one, but if it does happen, then either Kaycee or Angela goes home that week, and it's likely that if Kaycee doesn't go home then she's evicted the next week when Brett wins the veto.
Sorry. Yeah, thank you. Let's watch our mouths, house guys. All right, Kaycee, you rang in first.
Now, with Big Brother 21, would you look at that? Another comp beast making it to the end. If Jackson doesn't win the veto during Cliff's first HOH, it's very possible that Jackson gets evicted pre-jury. Also, if Cliff and Nicole vote to evict Holly at the final 5, then it's very possible that Tommy beats Jackson in that final 4 veto, where Jackson more than likely gets evicted.
2 minutes and 59 seconds! So you play chess and not checkers.
For Big Brother All-Stars 2, Cody has literally only one time all season that he could have lost the game, and that's at the final 4. Had Christmas beaten Cody and won the veto, Cody gets evicted. Obviously, that was a long shot because Cody crushed the comp and Christmas didn't, but that's the only time I can think of where Cody was in a spot where if a comp didn't go his way, he would have lost the game.
I just helped cook it all, so I'm like taking a step back and letting everybody make their plates first before the sous chef digs in.
Cody.
Damn, bro. Guess I don't get to eat.
And now lastly, with Big Brother 23, there was just no way Xavier wasn't winning the game. With the cookout as a whole and some of its members just utter infatuation with bringing Xavier to the end, it would literally require Tiffany comping out all the way from the final 6 to the end, or the cookout to never even form in the first place for Xavier to lose. He was just so well situated, and with some of his comp wins, he was basically unevictable the whole way through.
So wait, do we agree that this is gonna be called the cookout? Is that what we doing?
Uh-huh.
All right, the cookout. I like that. I like that.
That's what I'm moving to say.
That's for the culture. The cookout.
And there we go. This was just a simple, fun way to show that even during a season when all seems hopeless and the winner seems inevitable, there's always a way that things could change and a different person will win. Unless it's Andy, in which case you're fresh out of luck because that guy was winning no matter what happened. Thank you so much for watching and getting to this point. If you're new here, consider subscribing, and of course I always need to give an extra special shout out to my YouTube members who are all kick-ass and awesome people. And now, as always, here's a clip for you on your way out.
What's wrong with me? I dreamed about freaking Derrick the whole freaking time. Oh yeah, come on. And it was not like that. It was his wife too.
We really do want to hear the rest of the story, though. All right, let's be responsible, guys. We're gonna give you scouts on it.
Pretty sure Cody was there too.